Once, under the hot summer sun, on the green porch of an old wooden house near the forest, there lived a fluffy white kitten. His little blue eyes shone with happiness as he played his favorite game, Catch the Butterfly. "Butterfly, I'll catch you," the kitten said, jumping and meowing with joy. But at one moment, the butterfly flew further into the depths of the forest, and the kitten, without hesitation, ran after her. "Butterfly, wait," he shouted, but in response, he only heard the rustling of leaves and the whisper of the wind. Soon, the kitten found himself in the mysterious forest. The kitten stopped and looked around. There were only trees, moss, and several paths leading in different directions. "Where am I?" He asked himself in astonishment. The kitten tried to remember where he came from, but all he could remember was how he jumped after the butterfly. "Oh no," he exclaimed, realizing that he was lost. But instead of panicking, he decided to act. "I need to find a way home," he declared, trying to sound decisive. At that moment, a bush rustled somewhere in the distance. "Who's there?" the kitten asked in fear. In the distance, a magpie with a white tail silently watched the kitten. "Maybe it's just the wind," he reassured himself. But his anxious heart was still beating inside. Lost in the forest, the kitten realized that he had a long and difficult journey ahead of him to get home. He knew that trials and encounters with various forest inhabitants were waiting for him ahead, but the little white kitten was not going to give up. "Remember, son, always follow the butterfly," came to mind, his mother's words. "But how can a butterfly help me now?" the kitten wondered. He felt the eyes of the forest dwellers on him as big green toads watched him and talked to each other about something. He himself was as white as freshly fallen snow. When he moved, small twigs and leaves rustled under his light paws. The heavy feeling of loneliness and fear filled his heart. But the kitten dispelled them, remembering about playing with the butterfly and warm hugs with his mother. "I will definitely come back home," he said aloud, and his voice full of determination echoed in the forest. With these words, he began to move, choosing a path that seemed most familiar to him. The wind rustled in the branches, as if confirming his decision. At that moment, the kitten suddenly heard a quiet sound behind his back. He turned around and his eyes widened with surprise. There, on one of the branches, sat the same butterfly with which he played at home. "You?" the kitten asked in surprise, and the butterfly seemed to smile in response. At that moment, the kitten felt that he was not alone and continued on his way home with renewed strength. Sunbeams pierced the thick forest fog. The white kitten, still striving to get home, knew that the path ahead of him would be difficult. However, the warm rays of the sun, breaking through the treetops, enveloped him in a gentle, bright aura and gave him hope. With a firm decision to continue his journey, the kitten walked through the dew. Suddenly, a beautiful red fox came out from behind a bush. She enveloped the kitten in the soft gaze of her golden eyes and said, "You must be lost, little one. I know the way home. Follow me." "Not so fast," a whistling voice came from the branches. The kitten looked up and saw a fluffy gray squirrel. "The fox might deceive you. Don't listen to her," the squirrel warned. But the kitten was too stunned to take her words seriously. Excited about the possibility of returning home soon, he hastily followed the fox, forgetting the warning of the squirrel. The playful patterns of sunlight reflecting off the soft red fur of the fox seemed like an invitation to adventure. Laughing and hurrying after the fox, he didn't notice how the surroundings became more and more sinister. The dense undergrowth grew thicker, and the sounds of the forest grew louder. Soon, the kitten felt that he had entered an even greater wilderness. "The fox, it seems, has gotten us lost," said the kitten, looking around at the surrounding trees with distress. However, turning around, he discovered that the fox had disappeared. Panic seized him. "I don't know how to get out of here," thought the kitten. After being tricked by the fox, the kitten continued to search for his way home, stepping over sharp branches. The wind, tickling his fluffy fur, whispered words of comfort. In the distance, a faint laughter from the fox could be heard. Pain and bitterness filled the kitten, but he pushed these feelings aside. Unexpectedly, the kitten collided with a huge owl perched on an ancient tree. Her eyes, like two bright crystals, looked at him with kindness and understanding. "You must be lost, little one," she said in her deep and calming voice. "I am indeed lost," admitted the kitten, looking at the owl hopefully. "The fox promised to show me the way home, but instead she disappeared, leaving me here." The owl nodded, as if expecting this. "The fox loves her pranks," she said. "But remember, not everyone who offers help acts honestly. Sometimes you will have to rely on your own wisdom." These words strengthened the kitten's resolve. He thanked the owl and continued his journey, already with a new confidence in himself and a new understanding of the world around him. But suddenly, the kitten encountered a new obstacle. From the darkness of the forest, sharp teeth and bright yellow eyes protruded at him. Fear froze him in place as he realized that a large and threatening wolf stood before him. "Where are you headed, little one?" the wolf hissed menacingly. His voice was deep and ominous, like thunder ready to break through the clouds. The kitten's heart pounded wildly. "I am going home," he answered, trying to sound more confident than he actually felt. "Home? And where is that?" snarled the wolf, taking a step forward. The kitten felt fear engulfing him, but then remembered the words of the wise owl and gathered his courage. Before the situation could get any worse, the ground beneath the wolf's feet began to move. A tiny mole emerged from underground, diverting the wolf's attention. The kitten quickly hid in the bushes, while the wolf dealt with the unexpected obstacle, as the wolf himself was scared of the possibility of falling into the hole, his heart beating rapidly. But now, with gratitude and relief, the kitten thanked the mole, who nodded at him and disappeared underground again. With renewed determination, the kitten continued on his way. Finally, after meeting and overcoming many obstacles, our furry hero saw the familiar outlines of his home. The sun shone with pleasant rays, bathing everything in golden light and turning dewdrops on leaves into glittering jewels. "I did it," whispered the kitten happily, feeling relief replacing his tiredness. The little puppy greeted him with excitement and joy. The butterfly he was chasing in the beginning of his adventure reappeared, circling around, his head in a welcoming dance. His home welcomed him with warm hugs and love that he had missed so much. Now that he was home, all the trials and dangers seemed less frightening to him. He realized that the butterfly he was chasing had actually taught him a lesson. Without her, he would never have learned about the world beyond his safe home and never have faced different trials and adventures. "I'm glad to be back," said the kitten, settling comfortably in his favorite place on the porch. He looked to the forest, feeling deep gratitude for all the lessons he learned on his way home. And although he would always remember his adventure, he knew that there was no place like home.